Weird News Weekly with Ben and Reid.
It is that time once again. Time for Weird News Weekly. My name is Ben Rogers and his name is Reid Marnie. How's it going, Reid?
Ben, I'm pretty good. Now, this is not going to work for the iTunes version of the show, but for the YouTube version of the show, there's something different in your background.
There is a whole heap different stuff going on here. This is obviously the reason why the episode is a little bit late this week, and we apologise to anyone who's kind of just like, where's the episode, guys? It's usually up on a Tuesday night, Australian Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, it wasn't there this week because over the weekend, I was busy moving house. We didn't have internet just yet. It just got connected yesterday, which is Wednesday for anyone who's wanting to play along at home about our time frames here. And basically recording this episode now on a Thursday night, and it'll be up as soon as tomorrow night comes, as soon as it's uploaded, pretty much. So there's a whole heap of different stuff going on in the background here. There was some black shelves that were left behind by the previous owners, and we're just like, hey, I can put a whole heap of cool stuff up there. So if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, you get to see all the cool stuff in the background.
Free stuff.
Yeah. Awesome.
Free shelves.
But we have plenty of weird news coming up for you on the show this week. I want to talk about this new body shaming trend, this fitness trend that's going on at the moment. We've seen a lot of these over the years as far as they've been given different names like the thigh gap and the bikini bridge. This is a new one that people are trying to get on their body. It's a new feature they're trying to get on their body from doing a lot of exercise, and it just seems to look a little bit ridiculous. As well as that, I have a car that's crashed into a house for a very strange reason. This lady was obviously just not paying attention for a very bizarre reason. I'll give you more details on that one soon. A Chihuahua has been seized because it has tested positive for drugs, and the owner has been arrested. Find out more about that soon, and you'll also find out what drones have done this week. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit cold and fluey at the moment. You wouldn't actually know that because we did try and record this episode previously. We had a whole heap of internet and computer troubles going on, and we decided to just let it go until
it just wasn't meant to be.
No.
Things happen. It just was not our week, so it's a write-off.
Yeah, pretty much. I finished off my move and all that kind of stuff and got myself settled in, and we were just like, hey, let's just do it now and get the episode out there. A little bit late for the week, but it's okay. How about your side of things, Reid? What do you got?
Well, there's a new fashion trend, and I can't keep up with these fashion trends. They're happening every single week. So this one, you and I, we probably can't really partake in it, but we could try.
Okay.
But it's not really our thing because we're guys. There's also the new product that KFC are about to launch in Japan. Don't think it'll make its way to Australia, and it's not something you'd really associate with KFC. So It's a bit of a new one. There's also a bit of a law case happening over in America. We all know Netflix. It's one of the most popular things in the world. Well, apparently, there's a bit of a law case going on regarding security. If you share your password, you might go to jail.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll talk. It could happen. I've got Netflix, and I'm not going to be sharing my password if it means I'm going to go to jail. I can guarantee you that much. And finally, there's also a new... there's a cat in London that's sort of making headlines, and it's not one of these viral cats on YouTube that's making headlines. It's actually a cat over at Parliament in London. There's been a bit of changing of prime ministers recently with the whole Brexit situation, but it's got something to do with that. But the cat at Darling Street over there in the UK are making all kinds of headlines for the right reasons.
Right.
Yay.
Well, you can follow along with the show, of course, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there and give us your opinions on the stories throughout the show. And in upcoming shows, we'll play back those voicemails and interact with you guys. So it's a good way to interact with the show. Listen to the show via iTunes. We are on iTunes. You can rate, review, and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And also listen to us via Soundcloud and Stitcher as well. And you can watch us right here on YouTube if you are looking at our smiling faces right now. And more weird news to come for you soon. Reid, over the years we've seen many body shaming trends or fitness trends, so to speak, that have been, out there for people to try and obtain and, get fit and get their body all into shape. And they want to have these things to make them look sexy, so to speak. And you look at these things and you're just like, why is someone even striving for that particular feature on their body? Like, what I'm talking about here is previous ones you might have heard of is the thigh gap. Remember this one? It was like perceived that you were sexy if the women had a gap between their thighs, if their thighs didn't rub together when they walked.
Who thinks of that?
I have no idea. There was also another one apparently called the Bikini Bridge. I have no idea what that one is. And one called the A4 Waist Challenge. Now, when I say waist, it's W-A-I-S-T, not waste as in going to the toilet waste or anything like that. But yeah, no idea what the A4 waist challenge is, whether it involves an A4 piece of paper and you have to, like, I don't know, try and balance it on your abs or something.
It sounds plausible.
It sounds weird, but there's a whole new one out there, this whole new body trend that's going around that people are trying to obtain. They're going to the gym over and over and over again and eating barely anything to try and get an ab crack.
A what?
An ab crack.
All right. To quote Paul and Hansen, please explain.
Basically what it is you get your abs looking so, great and fit and trim and toned that you actually have a crevice that goes right down the middle of your abs from like the bottom middle of your chest right down the middle of your six pack the whole way through. It's like this crevice that you can almost stick your finger in.
Oh,
and now it's more for the women, but everyone wants this these days. And I'm looking at a picture here. This is a girl from the Blurred Lines film clip. And also Gone Girl. Her name's Emily Ratajkowski. I butchered the crap out of that. But yeah, she's here in a bikini. We'll post this photo at the Twitter and Tumblr accounts for you soon. She actually has an ab crack. She has a very desired ab crack, apparently. And I'm just kind of looking at this photo and thinking to myself, why is that a much desired feature? I mean, to me, it almost looks a little bit unhealthy. Like from a guy's perspective, I feel like literally if I gave her a bit of a too tight hug, I would snap her in half.
Right, so it's that bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's kind of got me wondering, why are people going out of their way to try and get these, body features when it makes them look not healthy?
It's sort of a weird one, isn't it? Because whenever these sort of things happen, the only thing I can really think of is where is there money to be made from this idea? Now, surely this idea, there's money to be made from it. I just don't know where the angle is or how she's going to make money from it. So is there a way she could make money from this idea? Or
I'm guessing this is a whole Instagram thing that's going on at the moment, because if you haven't seen these trends on Instagram before, there's this whole massive fitness boom that's going on Instagram, where this girl, for example, I can't pronounce her name for a second time, I just butcher it all over again, but the bikini that she's wearing, for example, in this photo, that might be a bikini from a specific designer, and because she's worn that bikini in this photo, she's making money off this whole post. And, she's showing off her ab crack, and she's not saying anything about the person who got her the bikini. She's just saying, hey guys, check out my ab crack. Isn't it sexy? You should all be trying to get this as well. But really, she's just trying to make money from the bikini shot.
Probably, I would say so. Because, I remember her in the Blurred Lines film clip. Not for the goodness of the song, that was a terrible song, but for the film clip, because it made headlines worldwide, because it was basically Robin Thicke, the guy that sings the happy song, and there was some other rapper. And they're just sort of standing around, and these girls, Emily, too hard to pronounce surname, and all these other dancers, were just sort of hanging around naked around them.
Yeah.
I thought that's how she shot to fame. And it's a bit of a weird one to go from that to having a crack down the middle of your stomach for attention, presumably.
But even from a women's perspective, I showed this photo to my partner, and she's looked at it even and just gone, that is not healthy looking at all. Like, look at how much of a crevice does she need in the midsection of her body, and you can see all her ribs poking out, like on the bottom section of her ribs, at least 1, 2, 3 of her ribs you can see sticking out there in this shot. And it's just like, come on, when did people decide that this was the look to strive for? It's just ridiculous.
Was the crevice on her backside not enough for her?
Exactly. It's one of those things where you're just like, okay, a crack on the body is immediately associated with the butt crack. So do you really want to strive for something that's called the ab crack? I don't think those two words necessarily go together. I mean, who will want to strive for that?
It's a crazy world we live in, and who knows where it's going to go next. But in 2016, I certainly didn't think we'd see a crack as being a fashion statement. So I'm guessing you'll be going to the gym pretty soon over the next couple of months, and you'll be hearing all these people talk in the background just like, oh my God, I so want to get an ab crack like Emily, too hard to pronounce her second name. It's going to happen. It's going to be all kinds of people at the gym just doing it for that reason.
They'll be doing their ab exercises and then standing up and taking photos of themselves in the mirror and all that kind of stuff going, is the ab crack coming in yet? Is it there? Can you see it?
Oh, don't get me started on those gyms.
If you want to check out this picture and read a bit more about this story, jump on the Twitter account right now, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. You can also leave us your opinions on the Tumblr account, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there and get involved with the show. Reid, we were just talking about a new fitness and almost body-shaming trend that's going around at the moment for the ladies. And now there seems to be a new fashion trend that's going around for the ladies as well. But this one is a little bit left of centre and it doesn't actually involve clothes.
Yeah, it's quite the opposite. It involves no clothes whatsoever, literally. It's basically an Instagram account which has sort of started this phenomenon, if you like. It's an Instagram account called Fish Bras. Now, I'm not aware of any store that sells a bra in the shape of a fish or with fishes on the bra, but apparently that could be the case. I'm not too sure. Let us know at the Tumblr account. But there's a new sort of thing going on Instagram lately. The Instagram account is called Fish Bras. And now, to put a bit of perspective on this, it's basically women out in boats, dinghies in the middle of the ocean or whatever they are in America, with a fish. Presumably they've caught this fish. They're holding it in front of their boobs. Sometimes with no bra on them, and it's just in front of their boobs, and it's called the fish bra.
So you can't actually see anything, that's technically not safe for work, but you can just see a fish in front of their chest area.
Oh, absolutely. Instagram are very particular about what you can and cannot post on there. It's pretty much the opposite of Twitter. Twitter, you can post anything you want on there. You don't get in trouble. But Instagram, you have a little bit of a nipple. Banned for life.
Would this get controversial, though? Because there was this whole trend a little while ago. I'm not sure if it's still going on now. But there was this thing that was considered sexy if women were wearing a bikini of some sort and showing a bit of underboob. Would it be, considered a bit more controversial if it was a fish bra with a bit of underboob showing out the bottom?
Possibly. I've, for completely this show purposes only, I've actually gone through the Instagram account.
Sure.
That's what I tell everyone. I've had a look at a lot of these photos, and I can't see any hint of a boob. There is one, though, that has no fish whatsoever. It's just a girl standing up. I'll show you the photo on our YouTube account.
Okay. Oh, so she's got her back to us.
Her back to us. And the caption reads, "Yeah, we're pretty pumped it's Friday too." So, I think...
Wait, was that Rebecca Black?
Friday. No, don't get me started. I had a bit of a thing with that song a few years ago. I was always sending the YouTube link to different people. But no, this one, it doesn't... The thing is, though, usually with these things, there's a way of people to make money from them. Whether they send you to a website and, there's something for you to buy from there. Can't see anything of that sort of nature on there. So it seems to be promoting women who like to fish, who like to hold that fish in front of their stomach for, I guess, entertainment reasons. It's the only thing I can really think of because there's nothing to be made from this in terms of financial gain.
And at this Instagram account right now, if you can have a quick look, how many posts do they actually have of people, sending in photos to be posted on this Instagram account? It doesn't seem like something a lot of people would send stuff to.
No, but I'm having a look at the photos that people are tagging the account in. And for once again, you can see the amount of photos. I'm scrolling through. This is images the account sent. And as you can see, I'm still scrolling. So
it's becoming a huge trend.
It is becoming a huge trend. And it's one of those things where it's popular on Instagram, but it seems to be less popular anywhere else.
Right.
I had a look now. I was hoping some guy might have done had a bit of fun with this, but it seems to be actual just women just uploading photos with fish in front of them because I cannot see a single guy who is doing this on their Instagram account.
Well, I guess, speaking of that, because obviously guys can't really do this because, guys covering their chest with a fish. What's controversial about that? What are they covering up? Because no one cares about seeing a guy's chest. So what would the alternative for a guy actually be?
Well, it's probably hiding a fish in their downstairs region. Or maybe their backside. Ooh la la.
They could use an eel, maybe.
Standing
there, doing what they're doing, eel in front. You get the picture. I
don't know where these trends begin because this has been going on for a few months now, and usually when these things come around, there's always like a person who's responsible for it. I can't see the creator of this story. It's just a random Instagram account one day that sort of just popped up and started uploading women with their fish in front of them.
Well, I wonder if it was the first post that's actually on the Instagram account. I wonder if that was the first person that actually did it, and then they were just like, hey, send us your photos, and it was just something that magically caught on, and they didn't realise it'd be that big.
Possibly, but if I scroll to the very first one, we'll be here for a while. They've got 2,600 posts.
Oh, wow.
And they've got 136,000 followers.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a bit of interest for people who want to upload. I'm just going to show you. I know this isn't great for the iTunes version and the Stitcher version, but if you look there, it's literally just women with fish in front of their boobs. Like,
it's a very weird trend that's going on here.
What is so popular?
Was one of them holding a shark? Was that a small shark or just a giant fish?
I think it might be a giant fish. I think that's the one you're referring to.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a huge fish.
Yes. But it's a very weird trend, and I think this is the popular thing with Instagram. People like to do. They start a trend, and they hope it goes viral. And that one definitely has gone viral. So I don't think I'll be trying this one. My younger brother, he likes to fish sometimes on the weekend. Might suggest that to him if he wants to go fishing to get some of his friends to take a fish in front of their chest. I don't think they'll get any traction, but you never know in this crazy world of 2016.
Yeah, who knows? If you want to read more about this story, though, you can do so right now at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us a voicemail right there as well and get involved with the show with your opinions. Reid, this story comes to us from Mary Esther in Florida. Now, I love this firstly because the place is called Mary Esther, and then secondly, the sheriff's office at Mary Esther is Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. So that's the two amazing things about this story before we even get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on here.
It's already weird. We haven't even got into the story.
Yeah.
It's brilliant already.
Basically what's happened here is a woman has crashed into a house after blowing through a stop sign. She was basically just driving along, went through a stop sign, careened through the fence and then smacked into the house. And she was like, whoa, what happened there? Can't believe I crashed my car. Then she tried to back out, and she couldn't back out because obviously she was stuck in the house and, around the sand border that was apparently around this house that she's crashed into. Now, apparently authorities arrived on the scene, and they were very confused as to how she managed to run the stop sign and crash into the house that she crashed into. And they asked her what she was actually doing, and she said that whilst she was driving, she was actually praying with her eyes closed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, probably not the best place to pray whilst driving. Whoopsie.
But, I'm not a religious person, and I have nothing against religion or anything like that whatsoever. Each to their own, all that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty sure from, stuff that I've seen in the past, you can actually pray with your eyes open.
Oh, I don't... Can you? I mean, it's not something I'm aware of. I don't know the whole praying situation. I mean, do you have to have your eyes closed, or can you have them open?
I'm pretty sure you can have your eyes open. Like, you don't have to be driving along and going, oh, wait, still got to get to my location really quickly, but hey, I've just got to put in a quick pray here, so hopefully no one hits me. Just close my eyes, and I'll just keep driving along, and, God will save me on this one. He'll watch out for me, because I'm praying at the time, so it'll be fine.
So what's been the aftermath of this car crash? Yeah, like when she crashed into the house, was there anyone there?
She's crashed. There's no reports on if anyone was actually in the house at the time. I'm guessing no, because there isn't any report on anyone being nearly injured or anything like that. So I'm guessing everyone in this situation was okay. Even the driver herself seemed to be fine in this whole situation. But she has been charged with reckless driving and property damage after the whole incident. And I want to get your thoughts quickly on, when you think about these kinds of people, think from Florida, like country Florida, and you've gone through a stop sign, you're praying, you've got your eyes closed, and you've crashed into a house. What kind of age group and personality type do you think this person actually is?
Well, we're talking about Florida, and if I know anything from American television shows, particularly Seinfeld, is that when you go to retire, Florida is where you go to retire. So I reckon I might be in the ballpark area now that you said Florida.
No.
No.
28-year-old woman drove through a stop sign.
Wow. I didn't pick that.
Now, it was actually at around 10:09 p.m. on July 7, so it was dark at the time, and it also didn't help that it was extra dark because she had her eyes closed. So, that was, a double up of dark, which you never want to have. So, yeah, I guess maybe the darkness might have contributed a little bit, and the extra darkness really didn't help at all.
It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you associate that age group crashing their cars, it's usually because they're doing something on their phone, like they're texting or they're, talking on the phone. So it's a complete opposite in that respect, to be praying whilst driving. I like to see what the ticket was when the officer pulled up, and I mean, I'm sure they've got all kinds of versions on their ticket. Yes, texting whilst driving, drunk whilst driving, praying whilst driving. No, that's not on my ticket. I'm going to have to write that manually. All right, there you go. Weird one. Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder, though, because we had a bit of a situation a couple of months back when we were still recording the Wednesday Drive version of this show. We did a pre-record on a Friday night, and then we left the station. You were actually driving in front of me, and I was behind you. We went through an intersection. You went through first, obviously, because you were in front, and I was probably about maybe 2.5, 3 car lengths behind you at this stage. And as I was about to go through the intersection, still had a green light to go straight through, this guy from the side just blistered through the intersection on a red light and almost collected me if I hadn't slammed my brakes on out of nowhere. And it kind of makes me wonder, what was this guy doing whilst he was driving through a red light? Was he praying as well, or was he just, blind drunk on a Friday night?
I reckon blind drunk on a Friday night, because that's what you do. You don't. It's certainly the whole praying thing. You definitely would associate that with America because they're very big on their religion. But here in Australia, Friday night, most likely someone who's had a long week at work and needed to blow off a bit of steam and had a few drinks and goes through red lights.
Well, hang on. Let me have a look at my calendar here. I'll just open this up. What day was it actually on July 7? It was no, that's March. Whoa, my calendar is behind. What am I doing?
What's going on?
The 7th was a Thursday. So Thursday is a bit of a party night for uni students around this area. Maybe not so much over in the States. Would that be a party night over there as well, do you reckon, maybe?
I reckon maybe.
Maybe?
Possibly.
So you never know. She might have actually been a little bit tipsy herself, and maybe she was praying to God to actually get her home safe while she was tipsy.
Possibly. That could be.
You never know.
You never know. But there was a vision I saw during the week of police officers who were attending a scene already, and they were talking to the driver of a car. Then, because over in America, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the police officers have cameras on their uniform. Mm-hmm. So they've actually got those portable ones where they attach it on the uniform and it records everything. Well, they were talking to the guy, and in the meantime, they've actually caught vision of this guy crashing their car into the police car.
Oh, wow.
So the police car's parked. So what they've done is they've chased after this guy, thinking, what's going on here? And it turned out to be a woman. She's got out, and she said, yeah, I shouldn't have been playing Pokemon Go, but...
oh, no.
So a pretty big victim, a police car, on your way to catching a Charizard. Very bizarre. It's going to happen a lot, though.
If you want to get more info on this story, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there and give us your thoughts on this story. If you've seen anything or heard of anything similar to this over the years, we'd love to hear what those stories actually are. So let us know your thoughts and, get involved with the show. Reid, over in the UK, there's been a whole heap of stuff happening with the Brexit. There's been talk about a new Prime Minister and all that kind of stuff. But there is one thing that is taking a lot of attention away from those news stories, and that thing's a cat?
Yeah, that thing is definitely a cat. It seems that our love of cats is absolutely true. We've got the YouTube videos of viral cats going viral every day. There's even TV shows here in Australia. Cats make you laugh out loud. #1 show every week.
Yeah.
Don't know why. People love their cats. Well, there's a cat story over in the UK, which is big news. As we all know, the whole Brexit situation has been pretty nasty, and you need a bit of comic relief after hearing a bit of that. They've since changed prime ministers, and I think people are just looking for something to think, oh, come on, let's hear some good news. Come on, let's hear some good news. Well, there is some good news.
Oh, nice.
People have a fondness for cats. I do. Lots of people do. And it seems that everyone in the UK is going absolutely bonkers for a cat by the name of Larry. Now, who is Larry, you might be asking? Well, Larry is a cat who is often seen at the back of when the Prime Ministers are doing press conferences down there at 10 Darling Street over in London. Now, where they do the press conferences, it's always in front of the building, and usually when the Prime Minister comes out of the door, so does the little cat.
Now, does Larry actually serve a purpose other than just being, a cat that's sitting there looking cute?
Well, I've got to use a Twitter bio.
Oh, really?
There's a Twitter account.
He has a Twitter account.
Now, I should make mention it's an unofficial Twitter account, but
okay.
it has been tweeted from the UK council. So they've actually tweeted from it. So they've retweeted his tweet. So there's obviously a bit of a fondness for it. According to his Twitter bio, he is the Chief Mouser, don't know what that means, to the Cabinet Office. I'm an 11-year-old tabby in position longer than the leaders of any of the main UK political parties. So he's got a bit of a personality, this boy. 11 years old, so he's been there for a long time. He does serve. He's often referred to as a public servant because he's not just a cat in suburbia. He's a cat who is, the owner of the Prime Minister. Now, the reason this had a bit of was sort of breaking a bit of headlines earlier was because when David Cameron was going to be leaving as the Prime Minister, there was a belief that David would be taking the cat with him. Therefore, Larry the cat would not be there anymore.
Oh, no.
I know, and that made people so annoyed.
They'll lose their Chief Mouser.
Exactly, and let's face it, a lot of people don't really care about politics, but they sure care about their cats. So once they found that out, that he was actually going to be staying with the new Prime Minister, Theresa May is the new Prime Minister. She's mad for him, she loves him, and he'll be staying on at the 10 Darling Street over there in the UK. So really happy that he's had a bit of a life over there.
Wait, have they picked a new Prime Minister? I'm really behind the news if that's actually happened.
You're really showing that you're a radio announcer, aren't you? Because
I don't do any research on anything.
No, you know who Taylor Swift's dating, but you don't know who the Prime Minister of the UK is.
Exactly, and I hate that.
Oh, man. But, so it happened during this week because, I'm not sure if you're aware, but her opponent actually referred to the new Prime Minister, Theresa May, because Theresa doesn't have any children. And there was two people vying for the position, and the other candidate, who has since dropped out and is obviously no longer the new Prime Minister, she actually said that Theresa, those who are mothers often are better leaders than those who haven't bared children. And it was a pretty nasty statement. And they blew that out on the news and had a lot of fierce debate about it. And it was basically that comment that sort of saw her not get the Prime Ministership. So Theresa May just swooped on in and said, yep, I'm your Prime Minister.
It would have been really smart if after that she had to come in and just gone, those words actually really hurt me because I can't actually have children.
But it's an absolute fact, though. She's just sort of had a go at her for not having kids. I mean, the sad thing is she actually did try to have kids a few years ago, but she wasn't able to. So
there you go.
I know. So it was a pretty low blow.
Yeah.
But it's a very low blow because it was enough of a comment to get her to not be the new Prime Minister. Now, I just want to take you to Larry the Cat's Twitter account. Right. For those who don't know, he does have a Twitter account. It is an unofficial account, but it does have 82,000 followers on Twitter.
Wow.
Which is quite big. Now, this time last week, when the Prime Minister was all announced, this is what Larry the Cat tweeted. People seem to be making quite a big fuss about me replacing my butler. Obviously, in reference to the whole changing of Prime Ministers. That was a good little tweet. So there's all kinds of stories about it. The Telegraph over in the UK have just tweeted a story called Larry the Cat limps back to number 10 after overnight battle for power. And there's a whole bunch of other amusing tweets which I might pop up on our Twitter account. But it just goes to show you that, we care more about the cats and the animals than the actual people running our government. So maybe that should have been a tactic Malcolm Turnbull should have used when he was running for Prime Minister. Forget about all your policies. Just have an animal. Have a cat. Every time the press are at the side, asking you questions, have a dog walking behind you. Don't have, your security running near you. Have dogs running near you. You'll be loved by everyone.
But in the true fashion of Australian politics, though, I swear he'd come up to the podium one day and just be like, "Oh, you should all love me. I have a pet. It's a ferret." And he just stands there stroking it menacingly.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the camera crew have long gone, and he's still there stroking the ferret. Love me.
She's like, they will do what we say, Doug. They will do what we say.
Well, the homeless guy's looking at him going, what?
If you want to read more about this story, you can do so at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us a voicemail with your opinions on the story as well, and get involved with the show. Reid, this story comes from Fontana, California, where a police department says a man was arrested on cruelty charges after his erratic behaving chihuahua tested positive for methamphetamine.
Oh,
yeah. It's a story that literally went from here, just skyrocketed off the charts.
A story about a little doggy, and now it's just gone completely out of proportion. Wow.
Yeah. Now, this guy's name is Isaiah Nathaniel Sais. I'm guessing his last name is pronounced S-A-I-S, Sais, I'll go with. He's 21 years old. He brought the dog. The dog's name, by the way, is Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow the Chihuahua.
Oh, brilliant.
Is that a bit of a homage to the way that, what's his name, actually looked as Jack Sparrow in those movies?
Oh, probably. Or maybe because he's got a fondness for the whole dogs of, the guy that plays Jack Sparrow.
You never know. Johnny Depp might have, inspired this dog's name because Johnny Depp has a fondness for dogs. So,
yeah, he's still in Boo, by the way.
Let's name the dog after a Johnny Depp character.
Oh dear.
What's actually happened here, though, is this guy has brought his dog to one of the veterinary specialists close by his house, and he said, hey guys, I think my dog is behaving erratically because he might have ingested meth. Didn't skirt around the subject, didn't go in there and say, hey, he might have ingested something, I don't know what it is, but maybe you'd like to check him out to find out. He just went straight in there and was like, guys, it's meth, okay? It's meth, I'm putting it out there, I'm being honest. He's taken meth. It's a dog, and he's high as balls.
Well, first, round of applause for the honesty. I mean, you very rarely hear that from drug dog taking, but, I mean, to not even... What could he have said that wasn't meth? Oh, yeah, he's just... he's high on life. He's just had a little bit some of my food. He's just not handling it too well.
Well, it's one of those things where he could have just gone, okay, he got out into the backyard after I just fertilised the garden or something, and now he's reacting to the strong fertiliser and going mental or something like that. Or, it could have been anything like that he could have made up an excuse for, but he's just gone, guys, it's meth, okay? It's what it is.
But really, the obvious question is, whose meth was it? Was it the owner of the dog, or was it the dog in a skip and just rolling around in there, and all of a sudden he's accidentally induced some meth? Oh, whoops-a-daisy, I've swallowed some meth, Mr. Owner. How does he know it's meth?
Well, I'm guessing it's obviously the owner's, because the owner has then been charged for cruelty to animals, and he's also been charged for drug possession as well. So, whether it was his drugs that he just bought from someone and intended on taking himself, or maybe, he might have been, possibly the one trafficking these drugs. I don't know.
Geez, the dog's going to have drug problems for a few years, because a lot of people who take meth have trouble getting off it. So can you imagine what this dog's going to have in a few years' time? Going to have trouble getting off the meth?
Apparently there was a video. There's a video that's been posted as well.
Oh, please, that's true.
Yeah, it's actually in this article. So we'll post this, of course, for you at the Twitter and Tumblr accounts, Weird News Weekly on Tumblr and Weird News Weekly on Twitter, and weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. There is a video right here of the dog kind of being all twitchy and stuff because he's kind of like Tweak from South Park, high on coffee, and he's just like, guys, yeah, and But apparently he's made a full recovery, which is good news. He was treated, he was seized and, brought to the veterinary clinic, and they then kept him from that point on, and then they'll probably adopt him out to a new owner once he's all well and good. But yeah, apparently he has made a full recovery, and he's still under observation just to make sure that he's 100% okay before he's adopted out to a new owner. So that's good news.
And he's often nowadays seen behind dodgy alleyways and in Macca's car parks waiting for people to come out late at night.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously...
trying to get his next fix.
Trying to get his next fix. He will have trouble getting off the stuff. Good luck to him.
Just see this dog walking up, just like putting its paws over it. Mate, can I just get, I just need a couple of dollars till I can get my next fixed,
we're seeing commercials here in Australia where, they use people who are on meth or ice in commercials who, go into hospital and they attack all the staff. Can you imagine what that dog's going to be like when he goes to the vet every time? They're probably going to try and see if he's got meth still in his stomach. He's going to be scratching their paws out. Yeah. He's going to be... that's going to be a mess.
It's crazy. And in another kind of drug-related story, did you see this thing that was going on over in New York City recently where it was like this laced marijuana that was being, smoked or ingested over there by whatever means they were ingesting it by. And it was basically turning people into zombies.
Oh, wow.
They could not function properly. They were just like sitting there all slumped on the side of the street and all that kind of stuff and looking all weird. And people, like police officers, had to literally come out to where that person was, lift them up off the sidewalk and put them in the police cruiser and take them somewhere and to be detained until they were all good to go again.
Wait, are you sure that's the case, or are you sure they were too busy playing Pokemon Go on their phone? Because they do become like zombies when they're playing for it.
Just become a Pokemon Go zombie because they've been staying up too late.
Oh, yeah, definitely the case.
It kind of makes me wonder, though, like, this guy, what was he thinking, letting his dog anywhere near meth? I mean, if you were a person who is into taking drugs, I'm pretty sure you're going to be one of those ones who's just like, okay, I've spent all this money on buying these drugs for my next fix. I'm going to make sure I know where they are at all times, so I'm the only one that's going to be able to take them because it's mine and I need it because I'm a drug addict. But he's just like, hey, Jack Sparrow, you want some as well?
It's a bit weird, though, because, I mean, in one way he's being responsible by taking him to the vet and actually informing the vet what he's actually done. But in another way, he's let the dog have meth. Now, maybe the dog's been a bit creative. Maybe he's running around the house and he's found it. But it's a bit weird because he's not really a responsible guy. Yeah. If he's got, he's taking him to the vet. He's actually telling the vet what he's taken. That's responsible. But he's being irresponsible by letting him have meth. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a bizarre one. I don't know.
Makes you wonder when he walked into the vet's office. Did he walk in there and just go, "Hey guys, I think my dog might have taken meth, bro. Oh wow, there's some really pretty colours in here."
Imagine what they'd be like at doggy hospitals with all kinds of dogs taking meth. Yeah. Could you imagine? Not just little chihuahuas, but big Labradors and all kinds of other dogs on meth. Ugh.
It is amazing, though, the things that dogs can react to, though. Like, not even, obviously, in this case, methamphetamine, but also things that I've seen dogs react to in the past. They have, very bad reactions to chocolate, obviously. You should never feed a dog chocolate. Apparently, they shouldn't have avocados either, or tomato, because that's not good for their system. But one thing that I've seen a dog go crazy on and then crash completely was actually that garden mesh that you put around things like out in your garden to protect new plants and stuff, that green mesh that you put around things.
Yeah.
I saw one of my friends, their family's dog just started chewing on that mesh. And I don't know whether it's the dye that was in the actual mesh that he was chewing on. We didn't know he was actually chewing on it at the time. He just came inside, was acting all hyper. Then we walked out the back to see what he'd been doing, and there was all these massive chew marks in all this mesh. And we're wondering if the dye just made him go hyper all of a sudden because, got into his system and made him go crazy. And then all of a sudden just crashed out of nowhere, coming off a massive sugar high. But, they had to take him to the vet as well and, make sure there was nothing in his stomach that needed to be pumped out. So it's amazing some of the stuff that can actually make them go crazy.
Who knows what makes a lot of these dogs tick, but I could only imagine what it'd be like having a dog on meth. I mean, dogs are crazy at the best of times, but with meth, that makes them super duper looper crazy.
Yeah, so, I haven't actually watched this video here. Let me just check this out and see what's going on here.
It's either going to be a horror or a comedy situation. I'm hoping it's a comedy situation.
He really is just kind of twitchy and very, what's going on? I don't like this. So it's kind of sad that you're seeing him in that situation, really. But if you want to check out more on this story, you can read the full details and also leave us your thoughts on this story as well. At Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there and get involved with the show. Reid, over the years, KFC have had the slogan, "Can't beat that taste." And I'm not sure if this one necessarily applies so much. Like I've heard this particular ingredient going quite well with something like bacon, for example, and I have tried that in the past, and it is quite a good combination. But this going actually with chicken, I'm not 100% sure about.
No, but you also missed their genius slogan, which is "finger licking good."
Oh yeah.
What a brilliant slogan that is. I think they use that here in Australia. But no, we've mentioned many times on our show, even back to the Wednesday Drive era, where we would talk about KFC and McDonald's, that products they would sell that you wouldn't really associate with what they normally sell. Over in Japan, we find KFC. Now, they are struggling a bit at the moment. They have been for a little while. Apparently, they're not too big on the chicken over there in Japan. They're mad for McDonald's.
Unless it's accompanied by rice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, way to stereotyping there. But no, they're mad for... They're not really mad for their chicken over there for KFC, and they have been struggling for sales. One product they do sell is biscuits. Now, these aren't the biscuits they have in America where it's like bread and they refer to it as a biscuit. No, this is like an actual biscuit, all right? They've been selling it for a little while, and that's been getting a bit of traction. But what people have been doing is the store has maple syrup, because apparently that's what you do with your biscuits over there, is that you have maple syrup on your biscuits. Very popular thing they have over there. Who would have thought? I would have thought it'd just be similar to Canada. And look, I have the occasional bit of maple syrup on my Wheat Bix, but that's not an everyday thing. It's just an occasional treat. Well, what they're doing is they're realising that the maple syrup was getting a bit popular, so they're actually selling the maple syrup on its own. This comes in like a little bottle, like a little squeeze bottle you have to put over your breakfast in the morning. They're actually doing it in a little bottle. Okay. What I found interesting is they've nearly sold out on pre-sale orders.
Oh, wow.
So this hasn't even launched officially, and on pre-sale, it's already sold out. So that's how popular it is. Now, financially, it's not that expensive. For a bottle of this, which is about 230 millilitres, it will only cost you 500 yen, which equates to about $4.90 Australian. Okay. So that's not too bad. I mean, that's easily affordable. But who would have thought that, maple syrup would be quite popular? Already, they're trying to make it available. So they're currently trying to make it available at 500 of their 1,150 stores in Japan. That's quite a lot of stores. I mean, all up 1,150, and already it's available at 500. I mean, I don't think we have that much in Victoria.
I mean, considering the size of Japan compared to other countries, to have that many stores in a kind of small place like Japan, that's pretty full on.
Oh, it's very full on. I mean, if you go to Melbourne, there seems to be a 7-Eleven or a McDonald's or a KFC nearly at every corner, as well as a cafe. But up there, I mean, that must be on every street. I mean, there must be a McDonald's or a KFC on every single street.
Actually, one other thing that I've seen popping up in Melbourne a lot lately, like previous years that I've been up to Melbourne, you saw them, once every couple of blocks or something like that, is these quick stop Coles outlets. So it's just like,
I've heard of these,
it's a smaller version of a Coles supermarket, and you just go in there for some quick things that you need, and you're just like, yep, get that, I'm out. So it's basically a 7-Eleven with Coles plastered over the front of it. It's really strange.
All these sort of pop-up stores are sort of the new phenomenon, and they're just getting more popular. But I'm sort of wondering if we'll see KFC in Australia sell maple syrup. I don't think they have anything that you would put your maple syrup on. I know bacon is a very popular thing to put maple syrup on, but KFC, they do make a burger with bacon in it, but I don't think it's that popular enough to sort of, sell it with hand in hand. A lot of places like KFC in Australia sell sort of traditional items, whereas, as we've pointed out before, overseas, KFC and McDonald's, for whatever reason, are very pedantic about having weird creations. I mean, we all know Scoffy, which was a KFC thing. McDonald's have a few others as well. Maple syrup, I don't think this will be making its way down under.
Well, KFC also had the nail polish as well. I wonder if people will start putting the maple syrup on their nails and just be like, it's so nice.
I don't imagine so. I just can't see it happening. But this was a bit bizarre, though, because, I mean, I've never thought that, maple syrup was that popular of an item. I mean, I know it's very popular, in America, and it has, because they've got waffle stores in America, and they're massive. Waffles. We're not that massive in Australia, but over there they're massive. But maple syrup, it's not a massive product here in Australia. I mean, I've always had it, but I don't think it's that popular enough to sort of sell like what they're doing. The only thing I can sort of remember McDonald's here in Australia doing with a bit of a product, remember last year, I think it was, they had the special sauce from the Big Macs, and they were selling it in those little squeeze bottles. And apparently they were selling out on eBay, and people were trying to sell them for like $1,000 and even more. So that's the only thing I can sort of equate it to here in Australia.
It kind of makes you wonder, though, what is the next thing? Like, what is going to be the next one that just takes off randomly because it's something that's done by a fast food chain, for example?
Well, maybe they need to set the trend. Maybe they need to be the one to sort of get in contact with a struggling food manufacturer, for example, and say, look, we have a product, we're not selling enough. If you sell it, I'm sure that we could work out a deal. Maybe
Eagle Boys Pizza here in Australia could have used that kind of help over the last couple of months.
I think they could need a bit of help. Did you also, a quick tangent by the way, did you hear that those Vita-Weets that you put your butter, your Vegemite on it, when you squeeze it, it's what they're called worms, which sort of come out of these little holes on the Vita-Weet. I was doing that when I was a little kid. Apparently, they've changed the recipe so that doesn't happen anymore.
Oh, really?
So there's been all this massive outrage where if you put your Vegemite between the two Vita-Weets and you squeeze it, none of the Vegemite comes up through the little holes anymore. They refer to that as worms, which is very bizarre. But they've changed the recipe, so that doesn't happen anymore. And there's all this social media outrage, and fair enough. I don't like that at all.
I can just imagine some, 28-year-old woman or man or whoever sitting in their lunchroom at work just going, they've changed the Vita-Weets, I can't make the worms anymore. This lunch sucks.
Especially on a Friday, you just want to have that little treat before you have to go back to work and worms. Oh, hang on, what?
The holes aren't working. Smash it!
They get so annoyed.
Wait, what was that quote from our show last week? I smash your life.
I smash your life.
I smash your life.
Best quote I've heard. I smash your life.
If you'd like to read more about this story, you can do so right now at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there as well. Tell us your opinions on this story and get involved with the show. Hey Reid, last week we talked about some weird things that people have been doing with drones lately, and I thought I would continue that whole trend with weird things that drones have done to Electric Boogaloo, because that's the thing that everyone rhymes with something that's the second installment of something. Both of my stories actually came from Canada last week, remember that?
Oh, that's right, yeah. Same stories, different city, yeah.
And this one also comes from Canada. This first one out of the two that I found that drones are doing this week. A Canadian man has invented drone bowling.
Drone bowling?
Drone bowling. So what he's done here is he's gone to his recycle bin. He's got out a whole heap of old cans, like 7-Up cans, Pepsi cans, Solo cans, all that kind of stuff. He stacked them up in a pyramid and then activated his drone and just flown his drone at the stack of cans and tried to knock over as many as he possibly could. And he was like, hey guys, drone bowling! Awesome!
Brilliant.
The only problem is, apparently when he was actually playing drone bowling, as the afternoon was progressing onwards, the wind was picking up quite a lot, and as the wind kept picking up, the less cans he actually knocked over because his drone didn't want to cooperate in the wind, so it didn't really work out for him. But it's kind of got a lot of other people on the bandwagon now, and if you have a drone, a lot of people have seen this posted all over social media, and there've been videos popping up on YouTube of people playing drone bowling now. So it's become a little bit of a trend, which is kind of cool. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Would you give drone bowling a try?
I would give it a go. I think drones are very much the future of airspace games, and I can definitely see that this is a good, fun way of using drones. So look, I'd give it a go. If someone said, hey, you want to have a go of this? Bring it on. What about you? Would you have a go of this yourself?
I definitely would, because mainly because I've never flown a drone before. Have you ever actually flown a drone?
I've been in the vicinity of a drone, but I've actually never flown one myself. So unfortunately that drone wasn't coming towards my head, so all good there.
Ah, good. Just by the way you sound, by the way you say I was in the vicinity of a drone, you were just standing there going, "It's marvelous."
Oh.
The majesty and wonder of the drone. Oh my goodness. Another thing that drones have been used for in this past week, and this one, of course, plays into the whole Pokemon Go thing because it's the number one news story going around at the moment since this game launched in the App Store and on, Google Play, all that kind of stuff. Drones have been used to cheat at Pokemon Go.
Ah, what?
Because obviously the game Pokemon Go works off your GPS in your phone and your phone's camera. So what people are doing is connecting their smartphone, obviously, to their drone, and then that takes over the GPS functions and the camera functions of the phone, and it goes by what the drone is doing at the time. So people are directing their drone to where Pokemon are, and then just going, I'm standing here doing nothing, sitting on a park bench. There's a Pokemon right there. Throw the ball at it. And so they're getting all these Pokemon just from flying a drone around.
What is it about this game that is causing people to do weird and wacky things?
Yeah.
I mean, this is bizarre. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the game. I think it's a very creative use of getting you to go outside and play with a game on your phone, but that's a bit much. That's a bit too far.
Actually, in another side tangent about Pokemon Go as well, people are actually making money off Pokemon Go now, in a very shady way, though.
It was only a matter of time before someone started to make money from it, so how are they doing it?
Here's what they're doing here. They're creating a new Pokemon Go account, and they're going around for hours and hours upon end, finding new Pokemon and collecting new Pokemon into their collections. People have quit their jobs just solely so they can do this.
Heard that.
So
Yeah.
they're going around finding as many Pokemon as they can and getting them, registered to this particular Pokemon Go account. And then they're selling off the login details of that Pokemon Go account to the highest bidder and then making money. So they're basically going, okay, I'm going to find all these cool Pokemon for you, and all you have to do is sit there and buy it once I've found them all for you, and you can just go, hey, look at all the cool Pokemon I've got, guys, when you didn't actually collect them at all. It was some guy who you just paid to do it for you.
Wow, because I don't think a lot of people realise what the app uses, because you've got to have a Gmail account to use Pokemon Go, and the fact that it does use your data and your GPS. So you're actually giving the app a lot of your information just to play Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I mean, in a not-so-shady news story about Pokemon Go, in a legitimate way of making money, McDonald's are actually going to be sponsoring Pokemon Go. Now, I don't know the full ins and outs of what's going to happen there, but all I read on the article was that they're going to be sponsoring Pokemon Go. So presumably, they're going to have sort of Pokestops at the McDonald's stores. So keep an eye out for McDonald's if you're playing Pokemon Go in the near future. So that's a legitimate way of making the money for them. I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
Wait, so the Pokestops are going to be Macca's stores to just get people into Macca's buying McDonald's on their Pokemon Go breaks?
Well, they already are, because, I mean, McDonald's already has free Wi-Fi at majority of their stores. And because it does use your data, it's a good way of actually getting people through your doors and to get people to spend money at your store. So McDonald's is apparently the first company that's going to start to sponsor Pokemon Go. Now, I reckon they probably are going to be one of many who are going to sponsor Pokemon Go. I'm amazed we haven't seen more of them. So McDonald's first company who have said, yep, we're going to start sponsoring Pokemon Go. I reckon there's going to be many more because the app is just so popular.
I actually saw a picture of a guy the other day who was fully decked out to play Pokemon Go on the streets. Apparently he had fully maxed out phone credit, so he would barely ever run out of phone credit or data usage whilst he was actually playing Pokemon Go whilst not using Wi-Fi. He also had a utility belt on, and it had countless mobile phone charger, random battery chargers on there. So whenever his phone started running out of juice, he'd just be like, USB!
Oh my goodness.
He was full-on serious Pokemon Go player.
I know we're getting off in a little bit of a tangent here, but a girl I went to high school with, she was a massive Pokemon fan when the TV show was back in our primary school days. She's got a tattoo of one of the Pokemon characters, not one of the animals of Pokemon, one of the characters of Pokemon on her arm. So that's about the most extreme fan of Pokemon I know. But as far as the actual game itself goes, mate, I'm amazed that this app has taken off as quickly and as popular as it has. Because I know Pokemon has a legion of fans. I mean, I remember having a little Pikachu game back in primary school. Mm-hmm. But as far as this app goes, I'm so surprised it's taken off. I like the game. I'm amazed at how quickly it's really taken off in terms of popularity.
I do find it interesting, though, how people are finding all these hacks to, play it differently, like they have in this case, just by flying around a drone. And it's just like, hey, it's registering that you're on the street, and, now you can get this Pokemon that's, 20 feet below you because you're flying your drone over the top of it, which is really strange. But on the topic of drone bowling, I think this is something that I really want to get out there and try. Like, I've seen all these people doing, like, drone racing and all that kind of stuff over the years since drones have become, like, the hot ticket item. And I feel like just, boring a drone into something, just like a big stack of cans or something like that, it'd just be so satisfying. Just, firing up this drone and just making it go phew, straight into a big stack of cans and just seeing them go everywhere.
I like 10-pin bowling at the best of the time, but I like when people go to the extreme and take it a bit ridiculous, and I would be up for this game, so count me in as well.
And Carl Barron, the comedian, talked about the different personality types of bowlers over the years, and, he had that whole thing where when you get a strike, it's impossible to turn around to all your friends and not have that strike face of like, yeah, I just got a strike. Breathe it in, guys. How good am I? Like, no matter how hard you try, you can't turn around from getting a strike without having the strike smirk on your face. I wonder if this will still, parlay across into drone bowling.
Well, as my father would say, there's only one way to find out.
Yes, exactly.
Bring it on.
But if you'd like to leave your opinions on this story, you can do so via a voicemail, via our Tumblr account, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave your voicemails right there and share your opinions on the story. Also, check out the full details both at Tumblr and at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. Hey, Reid, Netflix are making news at the moment. Apparently, they're trying to supposedly outlaw this whole thing of having an account and letting other people use it as well?
Yeah, now for those who don't know, Netflix is basically an internet service where you have to... The way for you to log in is with your email address and your password. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, get in touch with their friends and say, hey, can I have your password? I want to watch something on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's basically a way for them to not pay to use the service. Now, it is deemed to be illegal, but the reason that this is sort of coming up is because there was a recent court ruling in America where a guy, he worked for a website and a business called like a sharing of information website. So it's called, I've got the note here, it says an executive search firm. So what they do is they use Google internet searching to assist other companies to get found online.
Right.
So it's one of those new age sort of companies over there. So it's over in what do they refer to that weird place in America?
Silicon Valley.
That's the one. I think there's a TV show with the same name.
Oh, okay.
Silicon Valley. So it's one of those sort of new age companies. And what's happened is a guy has left the company for whatever reason. The reason why is because he's wanted to start his own company because he was getting quite good at what he was doing. He thought, you know what, stuff you guys. I'm going to start my own business. I'm pretty good at this sort of stuff. So what he's done is then he started off his own company. But at the same time, he still had a couple of connections at the old firm. So what he's then asked them to do is he said, hey guys, would you mind getting into your databases and just handing over some of your information, just giving it over to me?
Yeah.
So he's then, and they've sent it over. So apparently that's been deemed a little bit illegal. So what he's done is he's copied their information and he's used it on his own database for him to get his own work under because he wanted to sort of use old contacts. So the only way to do that is to use the old password and see if, you can start your own business. Mm-hmm. Now, apparently guys who work a bit higher up on the food chain at the old company, they got wind of it and took him to court.
Uh-huh.
And they weren't too happy. Yep. Well, the Court of Appeals, they handed down a decision that he knowingly stole information without authorization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why that story is getting a bit big is because it's those two last words, without authorization.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in America, now I can't say the same for Australia, but certainly in America it's quite big, the practice of sharing your internet password for your Netflix account. because, not everyone can afford Netflix, or not everyone can be bothered getting Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that a lot of people will get their friends to just, we can download the app, and if you give me a password, I'll just give you, a couple of bucks or so whatever. Who knows what else they do over there. Some backroom favours. But obviously...
It sounds so dodgy.
Didn't mean for it to sound dodgy. We are talking about America after all. Probably the deep south. But no, so what they've done is that the judge has ruled that, you've done that with knowingly information, you've stolen the information. So then a lot of Netflix users thought, well, hang on, it's the same technology that we use in terms of technology, and also the code of without authorization. So it got a lot of people off track. Netflix have sort of ruled it out, but they sort of haven't. They basically said, yeah, we don't condone it, but we don't, I'm going to come down with an iron fist and say, how dare you, take you to court. So there's no sort of official ruling from Netflix that it is illegal, but a lot of people are now a bit on edge as to whether or not we should actually continue to share our password around with each other, because it's basically a way for people to save money. So Netflix are essentially not making as much money as they could if individuals had their own accounts. So basically, to put it simple, if I had Netflix and you don't, and you ask for me for my password and I give it to you, Netflix are only making half the amount of money. They could easily be making twice the amount of money. So that's what the whole thing is all about. It's basically about how much money Netflix aren't making. So it's a bit of an interesting one. And the reason why it's become a story is because we obviously in Australia have Netflix.
Yep.
Could this be a common practice? Now, I don't know too many people that do this, but apparently it is a little bit of a common practice for people to do. So who knows? We could see this happening in our shores soon, I guess.
Well, not to dob myself in here, but over at the previous house that I lived at, we didn't have very good internet over there, so there was no point in us having Netflix. And now we've moved to a new area and our internet here is fantastic. And we've been considering getting Netflix. But at the same time, my mum and dad have Netflix as well. And we're just like, well, they pay $12 a month. Maybe we should just kick $6 their way a month and both have the same account, considering I was the one that set the account up for them anyway, because they're not overly computer literate in the first place. So I did the whole account for them, and they were just like, hey, smartphone, movie, TV, Google Chromecast, fun times.
Brilliant, because without us as sons, we are the ones who know everything to do with the technology.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for us, they'd still be back in the good old days of non-technology and camping out and singing Kumbaya.
Around the campfire, some wilderness place.
Gone BC, before technology days.
Hopefully not at a nudist colony.
I don't want to think about that.
But I have even friends who have told me that they're just like, yeah, I've got a Netflix account, and my brother also uses my Netflix account, even though I live in Ballarat and he lives in Geelong and all that kind of stuff. So they live like an hour away from each other, and they're still using the same Netflix account. Now, obviously, Netflix will be able to see that it's being used at the same time in two completely different places. So they'd just be like, oh, that's a person that's sharing their account details, or they've been hacked into. So is that the kind of case where Netflix should be sending out alerts to the person who actually is the holder of the account, saying, okay, your account's been being used here whilst you're using it. If this is okay, disregard this message. If this isn't you, then maybe you need to change your password or something.
Much like what would happen if, the banks were onto your details and they find out that your credit card's been used over in Bali when you've never been to Bali in your entire life and you would never go to Bali.
Exactly.
So possibly that's the same reason, but maybe they're not onto their whole, security practice as what a bank might be. So maybe Netflix might need to look into it, but I can see it happening a lot in Australia.
Because as far as, policing this with saying, no, if you want to watch Netflix, you have to have your own account kind of deal, it'd be very hard to actually make that a reality, because you watch Netflix on so many different things, like whether it's your tablet, your smartphone, your TV, your computer, whatever it is. And you would watch it in so many different areas as well. So it's not like they can say, okay, on the sign-up process, you need to put in your address. because that will be the primary place that you can watch Netflix from that location. Or you need to put in like your phone number or your computer's ID and blah, 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 blah. These are the only things or devices that you can watch Netflix on. And that's the only ones that are accessible from your account. It'd be too much stuff to, go through in the initial process. No one would be signing up because they just get bored with it and leave.
Oh, absolutely. So I think it's a really interesting one. It's going to come down to how much money they're going to lose because of this practice. So if people continue to do it and they're losing a lot of money per month or per financial year, and if they're losing too much money, then they'll crack down on it. They'll look into actually getting rid of this ridiculous practice so people can't do it anymore. So I think we'll see it happening in Australia soon, but it depends on how much money Netflix are losing because of this.
And I think even the reason why there's such a big crackdown on piracy at the moment, of course, and I think one of the reasons why there is such a big crackdown on piracy is because not as many people are pirating stuff anymore because Netflix is so easily accessible and it's fairly cheap at the same time. So you don't need to pirate that stuff when you can get it for a reasonable price. But if they keep going through these situations where it's just like, no, we're going to change this and change that and change this, all these people are going to start going back to piracy, and then they won't even be able to police it anymore because there's so many people doing it at one time, and it just gets out of hand again.
Yeah, just do what I do. Go on to YouTube, type in the show you're after. Usually some genius has already put it up there anyway, so that's what I do.
If you are a bit of a wrestling fan and you don't want to pay for the WWE Network, maybe just go to a website called watchwrestling.ch. There's the hot tip for you.
We didn't say it.
No, didn't say. You didn't hear it here. They keep changing their URL all the time though, because people get like the big companies get onto them and they're just like, no, you have to close down this website, and they're like, sure, I'll close it down. Watch wrestling dot something else, and then it just ends up somewhere else. And if you put in the previous address, it just redirects you to the new one. So it never seems to end, pretty much.
It's a never-ending story.
But if you want to read more details about this story, you can do so at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there and share your opinions on the story as well to be involved with the show. Reid, that is the show all said and done for another week, and I'm pretty excited about this show that we've just done because there was no lag this time, which I like. And, for people who are listening to our previous episodes of the show, you might have been a little bit annoyed by the lag that was going on between me saying something and then Reid's response. That, of course, changes now because I just moved house over the weekend and I have better internet now.
Yeah. I'm going to say I like this background of yours, this brand new background, because for those on YouTube, obviously you can see there's their new image behind Ben, their sort of radio image, fits well because Ben's a radio announcer, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff I'm seeing on the shelves there. You got South Park characters, and you got typical Ben. You got something wrestling there, which makes sense. So it's much better than the previous background. So I could get used to this. It's hard to say. And it's really good as well.
There's the picture behind me here of myself and my girlfriend. I can't actually see it behind me. Are we actually visible in that picture, or?
You are not, because there's a massive amount of sunlight on your side of the image. But I can make out your girlfriend. Now, bearing in mind, I'm not wearing my glasses, but I can see. I can see her. But as far as you go, you're just a big bit of light.
Oh. That must be the overhead light shining on the frame there. But my girlfriend is officially making her inadvertent YouTube debut.
She is. So welcome.
There you go. Well done, Gabs. You're part of the show. But of course,
whether you like it or not, you're part of it.
Yeah. If you want to listen to the show, you can do so, of course, via iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Make sure you rate and review the show on iTunes. Helps us get out there a little bit more as far as the podcast is concerned. Also, watch us and subscribe on YouTube. If you are looking at our smiling faces right now, then you can subscribe right here and get the show straight into your subscription box every time it comes up every week. Sorry once again for the show being a little bit late this week. Obviously, there was some troubles going on. We tried to record it last week, internet and computer troubles. Reid's computer just crapped out on him completely at one stage.
Of all the times, I was using my computer all day, and then late at night we start recording. During the recording, craps out.
It was literally one of those things where we got up to, what was it, the third story or something like that. You started talking and, going through the gist of what you were talking about, and then all of a sudden the sound just cut out from my end, and I was just like, dude, no, I've got nothing. Can't hear you. Sorry. And you're just staring at me blankly, going, "What? Why did you stop me? What's going on here?"
But it looks like we fixed all that. It may have taken Ben moving to a whole new suburb for this to be fixed, but it looks like our problems are now all done in the past, and we can look forward to actually good internet connections. So,
exactly. So I'll put those plugs out there one more time. iTunes, Stitcher, and Soundcloud for the podcast version of the show. For the video podcast version of the show, YouTube you can just search Weird News Weekly on YouTube right there. All right there at our Twitter account and Tumblr accounts as well. Weird News Weekly on Twitter, just at Weird News Weekly right there. Also, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Make sure you leave your voicemails right there with your opinions on the stories featured in the show for this week. If we get any voicemails, they'll be featured on next week's show, and we'll respond to your responses and have a bit of a conversation, a very short conversation, obviously, because it's one response and one response. But it's a good way to get involved with the show, and you get to hear your voice on the podcast as well, which is a pretty cool thing. Not a lot of people are doing that kind of stuff, and the people that are doing that, we wanted to jump on the bandwagon with those people because it always sounds really good.
We want to be part of those people on the bandwagon.
Yes. So, of course, we will catch you once again next week with more weird news. It'll be back to normal. Tuesday nights, Australian Eastern Standard Time will be the upload time for the show. So we'll make sure it actually happens on time this week because we are, back into the normal swing of things. And until then, I've been Ben Rogers. That guy right there has been Reid Marnie, and we will catch you next time. See you, bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes and follow on Twitter and Tumblr for more details on the covered stories. Just search Weird News Weekly. You can also be part of the show and give us your opinions on a story by sending a voicemail via the SpeakPipe app, or just click the voicemail link on the Tumblr page. Spoken by Sarah D and sped up like this because we like the way it sounds on the government ads.